The rain had been coming down for hours, tapping against the tall glass windows of the Grand Maple Hotel in a rhythm that seemed to echo every thought in Daniel Carter's mind. He tightened his worn leather belt and adjusted his crisp but slightly frayed uniform shirt. Being a bellboy wasn't exactly the job he had dreamed of, but dreams were luxuries for people who could afford them. For him, life was about survival. At 36, Daniel was a father to a 7-year-old daughter, Emma, the brightest part of his world. Since his wife had left 2 years ago, he'd been juggling 2 jobs, mornings at the hotel and nights driving a delivery van. Every smile he gave a guest was genuine, though behind it was the exhaustion of a man who had no room for rest. That Tuesday evening, the lobby buzzed with life. Wealthy travelers wheeled in shiny suitcases, their laughter and the click of their heels filling the air. Daniel stood at attention, waiting for his next task, when the front desk manager, Susan, waved him over. "Carter, room 1502 needs assistance. Guest just arrived from a long flight. Make sure she's comfortable," she said, handing him a key card. He took the card and glanced toward the sliding doors. That's when he saw her. A woman in her early 30s stepped into the lobby, her hair damp from the rain, a navy blue trench coat wrapped around her. She wasn't covered in diamonds or draped in designer logos like many guests. Instead, there was something understated about her elegance. She had a leather satchel slung over her shoulder, and her shoes, though expensive-looking, bore scuffs, as though she walked more than she was driven. Their eyes met for just a moment. She gave him a small, tired smile. "Miss, welcome to the Grand Maple," Daniel said, stepping forward with a polite bow of his head. "May I take your bag?" "Thank you," she replied softly, her voice warm but edged with exhaustion. In the elevator, she leaned against the wall and exhaled deeply. "I think I underestimated how long that flight would feel," she said with a light laugh. "Business or pleasure?" Daniel asked. "A bit of both, I guess," she answered vaguely, her gaze drifting toward the floor numbers flashing above. When they reached her room, Daniel opened the door, switched on the warm lights, and set her bag gently by the bed. "Is there anything else I can bring you? Tea? Extra blankets?" She hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Actually, would it be too much trouble to have some chamomile tea? And maybe, someone to tell me where I can find something real to eat in this city. Not tourist food." Daniel chuckled. "Chamomile tea, I can handle. As for food, there's a little diner 2 blocks down, best chicken pot pie you'll ever have." Her smile deepened. "I'll trust your judgment." Over the next few days, Daniel found himself assigned to her floor again and again. He told himself it was coincidence, the way schedules worked out, but part of him wondered if Susan noticed how attentively he treated this particular guest. Her name was Claire. She traveled often, but she never said much about her work. One evening, as Daniel delivered fresh towels to her room, he found her sitting by the window, staring out at the rain-slick streets. "You look like you've been thinking for hours," he said lightly. She laughed, shaking her head. "Just, realizing how strange it is to feel lonely in a city full of people." Daniel understood more than he cared to admit. "Sometimes," he said slowly, "loneliness isn't about being alone, it's about not being understood." Claire's eyes softened. "You get that?" "Yeah," he said, leaning the towels on the counter. "Raising my daughter on my own, you start to feel invisible sometimes. Like you're just part of the background of other people's lives." That night, Daniel left her room with an unexpected heaviness in his chest. He didn't usually open up to guests. But something about her felt safe, unjudging. A week passed. Claire extended her stay, claiming she needed more time for work. Daniel saw her in the lobby reading, in the cafe sipping coffee, sometimes even walking through the park outside with an umbrella in hand. They started talking more, about books, about little things they noticed in people, about life's unpredictable turns. Then, one Saturday morning, disaster struck. Daniel arrived at the hotel only to get a call from Emma's school. She was sick, feverish, and needed to be picked up. He begged Susan for an early leave, but she frowned. "We're short-staffed. Can you at least finish helping the VIP guest with her luggage before you go?" Frustrated but resigned, Daniel went up to Claire's room. She opened the door, immediately noticing his strained expression. "Are you okay?" she asked. "My daughter's sick. I need to get to her, but they asked me to help you first," he explained quickly. Without hesitation, Claire grabbed her coat. "I'll come with you." He blinked. "What? No, you don't have to." "Daniel," she said firmly, "your daughter comes first. I can get my own bags. Now go." Her insistence caught him off guard, but he nodded and rushed out. Later that day, as he sat by Emma's bedside, reading her a story, he thought about Claire's face, the genuine concern in her eyes. 2 days later, Claire knocked on his apartment door. She stood there holding a grocery bag. "Thought Emma might like some homemade chicken soup," she said. Daniel stared at her. "You came all the way here?" "I wanted to meet her," she admitted with a small smile. "You talk about her so much." Emma, still pale but curious, peeked from behind the couch. "Daddy, is she your friend?" "Yes, sweetheart," Daniel replied. "She's my friend." That night, over soup and laughter, something shifted. Claire didn't feel like a guest anymore. She felt like someone who belonged. It wasn't until a week later that Daniel learned the truth. He had just finished his shift when Susan pulled him aside. "Do you know who your friend really is?" she whispered. "Claire Montgomery. Owner of Montgomery Global, she's worth millions." Daniel froze. Images of her simple clothes, her quiet nature, her walks in the rain flashed in his mind. None of it fit the picture of a millionaire. That evening, he confronted her gently. "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" She looked at him calmly. "Because I wanted to be treated like a person, not a paycheck." Then her voice softened. "Daniel, I've met hundreds of people who wanted something from me. You're the first who didn't." Weeks later, Claire invited Daniel and Emma to dinner. It wasn't at a fancy restaurant but at a cozy little place near the park. Over dessert, she reached across the table. "I don't know where this is going, Daniel, but I know I don't want to stop seeing you. You've reminded me of something I lost in all the chaos of my life: honesty, warmth, home." Daniel's throat tightened. He wasn't sure how this story would end, but for the first time in years, hope flickered inside him. Months later, Claire relocated part of her business to the city, quietly ensuring Daniel had more time with Emma by helping him get a better paying, less demanding position. She never flaunted her wealth, and he never asked for anything. What grew between them was built not on money, but on moments, small, human, irreplaceable. And one crisp spring evening, as they walked together, Emma's tiny hand in theirs, Daniel realized something profound. Sometimes the people who change your life forever arrive disguised as ordinary moments. Claire squeezed his hand. "You know," she said softly, "the night we met, I thought you were just helping me with my bag. I didn't know you were about to carry my heart instead." Daniel smiled, his eyes warm. "And I didn't know the guest I was assigned to help would become my family." The rain began to fall again, soft and steady. But this time, it felt like music, a rhythm promising new beginnings.